Hiya, hiya. I'm Joey Reynolds. This is Joey Reynolds Rap, and I'm doing great. I'm up to 4 subscriptions now. Oh, not that people pay to see me, that I pay to watch them. I got 4 of them. And what XM Sirius now, they used to have the 60s channel was on 6 because it was all numbers, all these different shows, different programs, different formats. The 60s was on 6. But they decided that there weren't enough people still alive from the 60s. I happen to be one of them. And, so what they've done is they shifted to a higher number. And they give double digits. Now, they double down on the old people. They put you up next to Frank Sinatra's channel. 173, 174. It's like playing the lottery now to watch those channels. But all of those ones, like the 6s and the 5s and the 40s, they put all the hip hop and the younger stuff down there because everybody is into this youth culture. There's a disease going around. There were a couple of them, but I've seen so many. I've seen fire, I've seen rain, before James Taylor. The only thing I haven't seen is a plague of locusts, but I'm not counting on it over here. This is a different kind of a society we live in where everything's mixed up, everything's upside down. We've talked about this before. And nobody wants to get too crazy about it because it's here and you're living through it. I mean, look at the dryness that we have on the certain states and then the wetness that we have in other places. Of course, I'm in Florida where it rains a little bit every day anyhow. And we seem to have a little bit of the tropical weather that's not bringing hurricanes this year, which is, thank God, it's a blessing. They've gone from moving the hurricane names from being in the English language to the Greek language. And now they're going to move to another language. See, we're running out of names for these hurricanes. You can't be clever anymore. Something's going to blow you away. You don't want to be too clever about it. But the pumpkin thing is gone. Now there were 2 million pumpkins grown, every year in southern Indiana. I hope I got my facts right. It's Illinois. And they make, what is it, about 200 million. And they have lost, they usually make about $300 million. So this year they don't have the pumpkins they used to have because the climate's changed, the weather's changed, and that's why we're all meeting and talking about climate change. I mean, let's get serious. It's real. So where's Al Gore? He's the guy that used to bring that up, and he was the guy that also gave us the internet. So he gave us the internet, and it's ruined everybody's life. And he told us about global warming, which has helped everybody's life. So the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. Thank you very much, Mr. Gore. He was a VP at one time, he was vice president, and he was running for president, and nobody wanted to listen to him. But nobody wants to listen to anybody until, the first answer out of your mouth as a parent is no. These are my little pumpkins. They look like they're ready to go back to Afghanistan, don't they? Yeah, during the Christmas holidays, we're supposed to buy things now because they're going to be running out. Whoever thought of that? They're going to run out. Have you gone to the store lately? Is anybody out of anything? Yeah, out of money. And you're out of my mind. That's what I'm out of. I mean, I can't believe that I'm going to Walgreens to buy milk. That's the beginning of it. And then I'm going to a hardware store to plan my funeral. Well, maybe that works. And then I go into the mortuary for a salad bar. Hey, everything is not, it's all a mix up. Who planned this country anyway right now? Who saw, anybody see this coming besides the amazing Kreskin? I mean, he's a mentalist, so he saw all this coming. He called me the other day and forgot he called me. I said, wait a minute, you're the mentalist. I put him on my mental list, all right. Now, there's nobody that is more fun in broadcasting than guys like us, personalities, but we don't have them anymore. Now we got people who are sitting there bitching, complaining, or trying to be what they're not. We got a lot of newsmen trying to be funny, and a lot of funny people trying to do the news. It's a mix-up, and then you got this black community moving in a little bit too quickly because there's a lot of product that is black because of the color. That's called, what is it called again? Inclusion. Now I will grant you, listen, I was in the civil rights thing in the 60s. When I say the thing, I mean I marched. And my best friends were never black. So, always says, oh, one of my best friends is black, But, it's that a lot of my friends were a lot of things. All through the years, I've had a lot of people use me, abuse me, and some of them stayed. I've had a lot of experience with broadcasting where we didn't really pay too much attention to any color except green. Well, that's when you have an agent. And now I see that most of the shows are black, and it's fast. You know, it's quick. It's a quick movement. Now, there's a little controversy here. I don't know. Nobody wants to talk about it because they all want to stay off of the subject matter. It's very loaded, you know, the subject. And I know there's a lot of comedy. Black people are funny, you know. I mean, as a race, because when you have a grief in your childhood, you better laugh your way out, or you're going to be in trouble. The family that I had that, you know, you had to laugh at everything. Otherwise, my father's hand would be across my face. You know, there's a lot of humor in distress. Now, I'm not saying that we should be abused. I'm just saying that we watch our parents and go, what? Huh? You know, quizzing them, and then you start to figure out that you're living in a double standard. So my favorite of all the years, incidentally, happened to be a black guy, was Bill Cosby. Why? Because he was funny. Why was he funny? Because he was like everybody else was. He was like a regular parent. And now here he was, the #1 star in the country. He almost bought NBC. He put a bid out on it when General Electric sold NBC. It was purchased by a bunch of other people, you know, like a cable company called Cablevision out of, what is it called? I forget the official name, but they bought Universal and NBC, and, you know, the only thing they didn't buy is me. But Bill Cosby was going to buy NBC, and I said, we're going to call it Nothing But Cosby, NBC, because he was going to put all his shows on there. But I'll tell you what was funny about him. Everything was funny about him. He was a great comic, and he had the everyday man down. I'll never forget when my mother, I was on a diet. My mother wanted me to lose weight. So what she did was she put notes on the refrigerator. And I took them off. So she put the notes inside the refrigerator. So when I went and I touched any of the food, there was a note on there. And of course, I put the milk in front of the note on the food that she had in there. And she put the milk bottle in there with my picture on it. Remember when they were looking for kids who were missing? So Bill Cosby had done a little bit where he was standing in front of the refrigerator when his 16-year-old kid came to, well, you know, they eat like vultures. When they're teenagers, eat a lot of food. I don't know if you have them or not, or you know that, or maybe you forgot. But they eat more than anybody. Teenage years, boy, they go through it, and especially if they're in sports, and men and women, boys and girls. So Cosby was standing in front of the refrigerator when the kid came to eat, in the dark. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that the light was out. Kid flipped the light switch on, and there's his father, Bill Cosby, guarding the refrigerator door. And he was saying, "This is my food. It is my house. You're my son, and you're not going to eat my food in my house without my permission." And it's typical. I mean, see, this is the way we live. This is what Larry David was doing on the Jewish level. And really, you know, I mean, the rich, spoiled Beverly Hills Jewish level, which I went through that. Nobody wants to call it that either, do they? Nobody wants to say anything. If you don't say anything, you're not going to find anything to say. Except, you know, the bad news. Boy, they're real quick on that one. You know, there's a bullet in that gun that was on the set of Rust. Somebody put the bullet in that gun. We want to make drama. We create drama. Somebody put a bullet in the gun to make sure that when the trigger was pulled, someone would get shot with a real bullet. Now, who would have thought to do that? A lawyer. And who would present it? A lawyer. Where is it? Morgan and Morgan. They now have Santa Claus in their ads for Morgan. That's a law firm that advertises like banshees. You know, lawyers used to never be able to advertise. It was illegal to advertise criminal cases, especially. But now the ad is the news itself, because you see the trial lawyer, you see the judge. This one judge for this kid that killed all these kids in Parker School a few years ago, you know, he confessed to the crime now. The judge, she looks like an avatar. She's like a beautiful young lady. It's a judge on the thing. And he looks like he's zoned out like this, you know, and they show all this on television. Why are we watching all of this? You know, this should be in a courtroom because we're curious. We want to see. We're gossipy, you know, and gossip takes the paint off of furniture, but it also gets you good ratings. And that's all they care about. They open the news, even David Muir, he opens the news with the worst thing you could possibly think of. And then they get to the part at the end where it's someone nice. Now, if they did the reverse of it, they wouldn't have any ratings. And the other thing they do on the news, if you notice, is that he does all of the headlines, and then they go away for a commercial. He comes back, and he does the same headlines, except now they got one or two more sentences to the story. Sometimes they have more of a story, but it's a game. And then they do the first I think 12 minutes, if I timed it right. They give you the news, and then they do two commercials. They come back for another 30 seconds, and another commercial, and another 30 seconds, and another two commercials, and another. I mean, it's just all loaded. Why don't they just have one sponsor? Why don't you have Morgan & Morgan presents the news? Here's what everybody did wrong today. Here's how bad we are. All of this presented by His Highness Satan. This is Satan, and I'm behind everything. Call me. I'm listed. I'm on Google. I created Google. I am Google. I am the devil. I'm the guy that you really hate the most, but I'm very popular. And as soon as I present some more stuff for you to watch that is going to hurt you, I will put it up there real fast on that screen. And so that's what we've done, except now, what they've done cleverly, they look for an audience on television. Commercial over-the-air television is getting defeated by social networking because we would rather talk to each other than watch these dodos. But look at what they're doing on TV. They want to make all the shows black. Why? Because they want to have a black audience. They think because you're black and you put a black person on and you talk that language that you're going to have a black audience. Well, that's the same thinking that was if you put a kid on the show, all kids are going to watch it. That's not the way it goes. The way it goes is if you put someone talented on the air, then someone watches it. Or if you put something interesting on the air, then they watch it. And if you say something that we need to hear, then we hear it and we listen to it. That's what's missing. The missing ingredient is personality. Hey, it's someone sitting there doing what I'm doing right now, which is to cut through all the horse shit. And that's what they don't want. They don't want to use the word shit on television. Can you imagine not using that word, but that's all they do? They shovel out the shit more than a barn, and yet they don't want to use that word. Well, because it describes who they are. WSHT, shit television. WKRP, the nicer word for it, crap television. It's crap. And then there's the various things like, let's not go into all of the verbiage because then I'll be using those 7 words. It's a Reynolds discovery period here, I just want to tell you that I'm watching the board. One of the reasons why the elections are going soft is probably because we don't know how to take out our anxieties, our anger, our discontent. We don't have anybody who's creating that magic that leads us down the path. We need to have a really good leader, somebody who's very charismatic and fun and amuses us. Then we'll kill him. That's what they did with Kennedy. That's what they do. As soon as the game gets too rich, the person goes. John Kennedy is no exception. Martin Luther King and of course John Lennon. Anybody who ever did anything that was wonderful. And then David Muir moves his hand like this on the news story. Here's another commercial on ABC, owned by Disney. Another commercial for Disney. Take their boat, take the cruise boat, watch our films, watch ESPN, we own the sports network, watch the teams that we own, watch ABC, watch all the shows that we are presenting. We are ABC. And remember the ABCs, I worked at WXYZ, which is the end of the chain. In Detroit. WABC is in New York, WXYZ is in Detroit. I had the ass end of it all. That's because I am one. It's a Reynolds wrap.